Lots of effort and endeavour, lots of heart, but ultimately Wales just didn't have what it takes to come away with the win from Twickenham and just close the game out when ultimately for large periods of the game they were kind of in charge. A few players really stepped up, a few just showed that I don't think they're ready for this level at the moment, but let's just dig into the game and we'll discuss what happened. So interestingly, even though there was 7 changes, I feel like this game started very similar to the Scotland game. Wales were sort of kicking a little bit too long, and the chase wasn't perfect. Literally within the first couple of minutes, it was a long box kick by Thomas Williams. The defensive line was actually pretty good, but I don't know whether it was a miscommunication on who was taking Stewart, but it was ultimately on Adam Beard's weak shoulder, and Stewart goes through. Wales get away with it, but then they were sort of just under the quash for like the first 10 minutes, and I was getting the same feels that I was getting against Scotland, thinking, this doesn't look much different from last week. And then around about the 10-minute mark, there was, I think, a bit of luck swung to Wales. I think the commentary team said the same thing. I'd like to know what you guys think, but the yellow card on Chisholm was, I think very harsh, to be honest. When you can compare that to the Scotland game, the two in the Scotland game, one for each team, I don't see any difference, and I guess that's ultimately the problem with these head collision penalties at the moment. It is a penalty, and I would have, said that, but a yellow card is rubbish, and if the shoe was on the other foot and that was Wales, I would have been really annoyed at that. But ultimately, Wales get the rub of the green, and it gave them a bit of confidence. They started coming into the game a bit then, actually trying to play a little bit of rugby. But it's very scrappy. Eventually, Wales get a penalty, which in fairness, Ioan Lloyd puts a tremendous kick into the corner, and Wales maul over, and the ref gives a penalty try and a yellow card. And this was on about the quarter past mark, 15-minute mark. And I was thinking, well, this is great. Wales, England down to 13, similar to when we played them in Twickenham in the warm-up games, and Wales were ahead. So I was pretty happy at this point, and Wales were sort of in control. So after Wales go ahead, they have a 2-player advantage. They, fair enough, try to maybe force things a little bit from their own half. They try and play a little bit from their 22. I guess they had 2 players up, and that's fair enough. But it sort of went wrong the first time they tried doing it. Tompkins throwing a stupid offload, as he likes to do. But then instead of settling it down, I was a little bit disappointed in Thomas Williams. He kept trying to play with a quick ball to Ioan Lloyd, who ultimately got swallowed up by Itoje, and it ends up being a scrum to England. They're 2 players down, they bring the winger into the scrum, and then it's a solid scrum for them. A good pickup from Earl, and it goes through 3 players. I mean, the hit from Mann was good, but he just didn't hold on to him. And Lloyd fell off as well, and there was another player as well. Winnett, came in. And Earl just sort of powered through the 3 of them, and it's not good enough. I'm very quick to praise Mann and Winnett when they do well, but they've got to be held accountable. That's not good enough. Ultimately, Wales shouldn't have been in that position. Thomas Williams is the senior player, and Ioan Lloyd isn't. He shouldn't be giving that ball to Ioan Lloyd there. He should have just slowed it right down and cleared the lines and built from there. But ultimately they didn't, and it just gives England an easy route back into the game when they got 2 players in the sin bin. It's just infuriating. From this point, it just turns into just a real scrappy affair. Neither team sort of looks like they know what they want to do, particularly in attack. You have to say the line speed in the defence from England was superb. Wales just really struggled with the physicality. I think that's going to be an issue for us going forward. Other than George North out in the sort of wider channels, there wasn't really anyone getting much go forward other than maybe 1 or 2 tight carries with a little bit of good feet, but there's no space there. It's just, I think the lack of size that we've got at the moment is really showed today with the tight carries. They just weren't there. This was really emphasised, in fairness, in that period where we had 20 odd phases. and we just didn't go anywhere. We were just basically side to side to side. And I think we looked a little bit out of ideas, and we looked very blunt. But yeah, I think we were just struggling with the line speed. Tried a couple of crossfield kicks, Johan Lloyd did early on. They didn't work that well. The execution was okay, but I think the time when they did them was wrong. I much prefer the little dink over the top for the blitz defence. They did that really later on in the game, and it actually worked. I think that's such a better option, especially when you've got a fullback like Freddie Stewart who's just coming up and he's plucking the ball out of there. But yeah, that's just my opinion. And then eventually, a good bit of interplay. You have to say it was Gareth Thomas. He had a good little carry, got his hands free inside to Rafael, I think it was, and then he got his hands free to Thomas Williams, who drew the fullback, popped up to Alex Mann, running a really good support line. And yeah, that was probably one of, if not the only time Wales really broke England's defence down, especially in that first half. So that was good. And Wales go up like 14-5 at half time, and you're thinking, yeah, this is good. This looks okay. England didn't really offer us anything, so other than our one mistake. So it was very scrappy. Both teams looked scrappy. You have to say Rafael was superb in that first half. He's just amazing at poaching the ball. I think Johan Lloyd struggled a bit. What else there? The set piece was good. And Wales did have a bit of luck in that first half. So I think we could have maybe taken a little bit more advantage of it. But, you know, we went in half-time 14-5 up, and we were looking fairly confident. Then the second half started, and you have to say England did come firing out the blocks. They instantly started putting us under pressure. It was quite similar to the beginning of the first half, where they were the ones applying the pressure. They come out fast out of the traps. We soaked up the pressure quite well. Unfortunately, after a good defensive set and a turnover, Tompkins gives away a stupid offside penalty, which gives England an easy 3 points in front of the sticks, which George Ford nails. That conversion in the first half, I don't know how we can argue that he didn't take a step, like it's mental. But anyway, that was by the by. Then about the 55 minutes mark, Elias comes on and Archie Griffin comes on for his first cap. Wales have tried the maul a couple of times and it hasn't worked. It actually worked really good against Scotland, but the power game just wasn't working against England. They actually managed to hold us up a couple of times. They were getting in amongst our maul. I don't know if we weren't tight enough or what, but a couple of times the maul we went for and it didn't work, so that was becoming an issue, giving the ball just back to England in attacking positions. Unfortunately, when Elias came on and Archie Griffin, you have to say, is when the game really started turning. The discipline started struggling. Ellis Genge started winning scrum penalties off Archie Griffin in particular. I think Gareth Thomas also gave one away. And then just the line out with Elias, it just started misfiring then. Like we were saying that in the last game, he came under a lot of criticism for the line out, and people were giving him the benefit of the doubt, saying it's not just the thrower. But when the line out has been working for all of the game, and then a hooker comes on and this starts to not work, I mean, who else can you point the finger at? Like, it must be horrible to be him. I don't know what can happen now, because what can they do? Are they going to drop him completely and bring Evan Lloyd in, who's another player who's got no experience, not played hardly at all for Cardiff as well? It's just like, that's where we are at the moment. So yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. Can Elliot D just play 80 minutes, please? I'm not sure if that's possible. But this period is where the game turned. You could just feel the pressure coming on more and more, and England started turning the screw a bit. But around the 55-minute mark, Wales had a really good chance. George hits it up in the middle, a really good carry, gets us some go forward, which has been rare through the game. And then we go the same way, and you have to say it's a great pass and a great line from Winnett, who just sliced the defence open straight through a lovely hole draws the man, gives it to Adams on the outside, and Adams he just didn't make a decision. He just ran into the defender. So he's going forward. He's got 2 or 3 players inside him. You have to say it was good defence from the England winger, who sort of closed the angle in, but in the passing channels. So if the pass wasn't on, I don't see why he just didn't drop it onto his foot and kick it forward. And Wales had the superior numbers inside, and who knows what can happen. Even if England recover it, we're all going forward. We can drive him over the line or whatever. But Adams ultimately just didn't, caught in 2 minds, I'm not sure, but he didn't make a decision. He gets tackled. As he's going into touch, he throws just the ball infield. Dyer sort of almost caught it, but dropped it. He would have been tackled anyway. So that was a gilt-edged chance. And that was probably where the game was lost. I'm not saying we would have won if we'd have scored that. And I'm not pinning it all on Josh Adams before you jump in the comments. But at that point, England had that wrestle momentum back. That would have been another momentum shift back into us going into the hour mark. And it would have re-galvanised us, I think, and it would have just lifted the pressure. Maybe lifted the pressure off Elias at line-out time. And he just, I don't know, he's just in bad form at the moment. And I don't want to pile on him because, I'm going to pile on him because about 2 minutes later then, it was a box kick and he goes up, not under too much pressure, but it was, for him, it was a pretty straightforward catch. You see him catch those 9 out of 10 and he just drops it, and you just can feel you can feel just the confidence just draining from him as that was going on. And I just feel so bad for him because he's been so good for us, but he's just not where he was at the moment. He's had a lot of injuries this season, and I just think he's struggling at the moment for confidence and just for physical fitness. From here on in, it's pretty much largely all downhill, unfortunately. England are just attacking. Wales, you have to say, defend pretty valiantly and just put a lot of effort in and a lot of heart, but eventually just the pressure tells and the numbers tell, and there's space out wide and they score in the wide channels. George Ford kicks that conversion and that makes it 14-13 then to Wales still. But all the momentum is with England, and Wales look a little bit bereft of ideas, and they all sort of look like they don't know what to do. They're struggling. Then the game carries on. England attacking. Mason Grady gets, I wouldn't say it's a harsh yellow, but a yellow for deliberate knock-on. He is only going it with one hand, so what do you expect? I don't think he's deliberately trying to knock the ball on, but it is what it is. He gives a yellow card away, and that's a penalty pretty much right in front of the sticks, and that takes England ahead to 16-14, and then that was it, unfortunately. Wales did have an opportunity to attack, like quite a few phases. They go in, but they would just go side to side. There was no penetration, there was no sort of creativity. Johan Lloyd just looked out of his depth, didn't know what to do. Kieran Hardy we weren't getting any go forward, so it's difficult to blame the scrum half, but he wasn't speeding the ball up. He was slowing it down. I guess the pods weren't getting there or something, I'm not sure. But and then we keep the ball for all this time, and then with like 2 minutes left, inexplicably, Lloyd kicks the ball, a little chip over the top, and it was just like, where's your head at that moment? Like, we've got 2 minutes left. I know we weren't going anywhere, and that's fair enough, but you've got to just keep the ball and see what happens. Maybe get a penalty or something like that. He kicked the ball away, and then England put us back in our own corner, which we're then attacking from our 5 metre line. And then he does the same thing on the 80-minute mark and tries like the wiper cross-field kick. Dyer actually caught it, but was put straight in touch because it wasn't on. And you're just thinking, what's the thought process? But let's end on a positive, because we went to Twickenham with a team with next to no caps, players making their debuts and players getting their first starts and stuff like that. We're wondering how they're going to react, and largely a lot of them put their hand up. The effort was superb, and ultimately in the cold light of day we probably could have, if not should have, won that game. So very rarely Wales go to Twickenham and should have won a game. And I think there was a crazy stat that they've scored once in the first half against England in Twickenham in the Six Nations, and they scored twice. So think of it that way. There's a lot of promise for these young guys, and every game is going to be a big learning curve and a big experience gainer for them. So like, we just need to be patient. Although it's always annoying losing to England, we actually can walk away from this game feeling quite happy with what we managed to put out on the field. So I'll leave it with you guys. Subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you on the next one.